How did the American Revolution come to be? The American Revolution didn't happen overnight. There were various events that contributed to the development of the revolution, which enraged the colonists through continued disrespect. It all started when the British tried to enforce mercantilism. What is mercantilism, you ask? Mercantilism is an economic theory which is thought to increase a nation's wealth by exporting more goods than you import. Sounds nice, right? It's nice until the British government decided to enforce it on us. They made us their exclusive trade partner. They passed laws that prevented us from trading with other countries. It may have benefited them, but it hurt our economy. But they couldn't enforce it for long. The British Empire was too big. They began to pay little attention to us, which allowed us to enter a period of salutary neglect. Salutary neglect is an important piece of the puzzle that built the American Revolution, like flour in a cake recipe. During this time, we enjoyed a period of freedom away from the imperial government. We began to build our own government and lived without British input. We changed part of our culture, the part we don't agree with. Basically, we lived differently than the British did. Our land-hungry peers decided to try and move into the Ohio River Valley, only to encounter the French there. The French occupied the river valley, the land which we wanted, so the only logical solution is to fight for it, of course. We fought, and eventually we won. We only won because the different colonies united together. We invited delegates from different colonies to meet up in Albany, so we could discuss what to do and how to win the war. This was the Albany Plan. Our very own Benjamin Franklin came up with the motto that became the cornerstone of colonial unity: join or die. This meant that the colonies can either join together to deal with conflicts or live separately and get destroyed one by one. After the war, the British government, fearing another war, which they couldn't afford at this point, drew up the Proclamation of 1763, preventing us from moving into the Ohio River Valley and across the Appalachian Mountains. Us, after we fought for the land, and they're denying us access to it. That's a big no-no. However, we withstood our anger for the moment at least.
Because of Britain's giant debt from the French and Indian War, they thought they could impose taxes on us because they were protecting our land, starting with the Sugar Act. In 1764, the British government introduced the Sugar Act, which increased the duty on foreign sugar imported from the West Indies. In 1765, the British government introduced the Quartering Act, which required certain colonies to provide food and quarters for British troops. Then later that year in 1765, the British introduced another act, the Stamp Act, which was the first direct tax on us, requiring us to use stamped papers to certify payments of taxes on goods like newspaper, legal documents, and diplomas. We were very unhappy because of all these taxes. British oppression brought unity to the colonies, and different ways of resistance formed. All the angry colonists who detested different taxes agreed on boycotting British goods, also known as the Non-Importation Acts. There were also groups of rebellions that formed, like the Sons and Daughters of Liberty, who were famous for their resistance against Britain. The Sons and Daughters of Liberty took the law into their own hands by enforcing non-importation agreements and would harass and rebel against colonists who supported Britain, famously tarring and feathering as a cruel form of embarrassment. The Sons and Daughters of Liberty are also well known for their forms of protest against the British tea tax. In 1773, the Sons and Daughters of Liberty dressed up as Native Americans and dumped millions of dollars worth of tea in the Boston Harbor in protestation of the tea tax, known infamously as the Boston Tea Party, which enraged the British government greatly. The angry British government, furious with the colonists, passed several laws in response to the people of Massachusetts for their action in the Boston Tea Party. These laws were known as the Intolerable Acts, passed in the Parliament in 1774. These acts consisted of 4 components which seek to repeal all the privileges that Massachusetts once had. The first part shut down the Boston Harbor until damages could be paid and the order could be installed. The second prohibited town meetings, which were our ways of self-government. The third being that officials who killed colonists in the line of duty would be sent to Britain for trial, where it was assumed that they be acquitted of their charges. And the fourth being that occupied buildings and personal homes would be subjected to house British troops.
When the intolerable acts were passed, we were angry and felt bad for Massachusetts. This was the last straw. We called together the First Continental Congress to decide what we should do with the British government. We wrote letters and grievances expressing our discontent, but the government didn't listen, and eventually, acts of rebellion led to the beginning of the Revolutionary War. Britain just wouldn't listen to us when we wrote grievances and appeals. They don't even consider why we rebel against them. We had to call another congressional meeting to discuss what we should do. This time, we had delegates from all the colonies. Colonial unity, yay! We wrote another set of grievances and appeals. When those got denied, we realized war with the stubborn British was inevitable. There was no turning back. Our little acts of rebellion eventually led to a full-blown war with our mother country, now known infamously as the Revolutionary War. That's all, folks.